NIST CSF, like we've covered before in several videos, is one of the most popular cybersecurity frameworks in the world. Over 50% of US-based companies use the NIST CSF to manage their cybersecurity risks, according to research by Gartner. And so, when NIST announced a new version, CSF 2.0, was coming out, it created a lot of speculation and interest. After all, NIST CSF 1.1, the most recent update to the framework, was released nearly 6 years ago in 2018. One of the reasons it's taken so long to get NIST CSF 2.0 is undoubtedly the route that NIST took when creating the framework. Public participation. It takes a long time. But that's not a bad thing in this case. By having multiple perspectives and thousands of people from hundreds of countries pitch in, NIST CSF 2.0 promises to be a comprehensive plan of action for companies that are looking to bolster their cybersecurity posture. There's several new changes that NIST CSF 2.0 brings compared to its predecessor 1.1. Number one, adding a govern function. Number two, raising supply chain risk management at the governance level while addressing it holistically across the framework. Number three, developing practical guidelines for practitioners, such as implementation examples. And number four, clarifying profiles, tiers, and offering a greater alignment of CSF 2.0 with other available NIST resources. We'll have a video explaining all of these changes in detail soon, but today let's focus on the big one, the brand new function called govern. In case this is the first time you're taking a look at NIST CSF for your organization, here's a crash course on how functions work. There's 6 NIST CSF functions. Govern, the new one. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. The function's the highest tier of abstraction in the framework. They act as the backbone of NIST CSF, that all the other elements like implementation tiers and profiles are sort of organized around. In essence, functions represent the 6 primary pillars for a successful and holistic cybersecurity program. If you'd like to know more about the other 5 functions in depth, there's a video in the top right corner now where we cover everything you'll need to know about NIST CSF. But for now, let's just deep dive into govern. The govern function in NIST CSF 2.0, denoted by GV, focuses on an organization's people, processes, and technology needed to make a good cybersecurity program possible. While CSF specified what needed to be done, it lacked focus on the people overseeing those tasks and the policies, procedures governing these controls. So, what is the rationale in giving govern its own function? Well, as experts will tell you, an organization can set all the policies it wants, but without a mandate and focus on governing those policies to enable and perform the functions that support them, none of it really matters. Elevating governance to CSF function promotes the alignment of cybersecurity activities with enterprise risks and legal requirements alike. Govern has 6 categories in it, with 31 subcategories or controls under those. Let's start with arguably the most important category, supply chain risk management. SCRM is a new category, and with good reason, as companies grow more interconnected than ever with the proliferation of cloud hosting and SaaS tools. The cybersecurity threat from one own supply chain is more potent than it's ever been. There's a total of 10 controls under supply chain risk management, making up nearly 1/3 of all governed controls. Some of these controls include ensuring your suppliers are known and prioritized by criticality, and that relevant suppliers and other third parties are included in incident planning response and recovery activities. The next 5 categories under govern are: number 1, organizational context, which ensures things like mission statements, stakeholder expectations, and contractual requirements, basically sort of all the layers that determine your organization's cybersecurity risk management decisions, are understood and known. Organization context has 5 controls under it, including identifying stakeholders and ensuring their cybersecurity needs are met, and ensuring outcomes, capabilities, and services that your organization depends on are determined and communicated. The second category is the risk management strategy. Risk management strategy details your organization's priorities, constraints, risk tolerance, and assumption. You also need to make sure that all of these details are communicated to the people that need to know, and that this information is used to support critical operational risk decisions. Risk management strategy has a total of 7 controls under it, including establishing lines of communication across the organization for cybersecurity risks and identifying strategic opportunities, also known as positive risks. Number 3, roles, responsibilities, and authorities, which builds on the fact that everybody plays a part in preventing cybersecurity attacks in an organization. You establish and communicate the necessary roles, responsibilities, and authorities to foster accountability, performance assessment, and most importantly, continuous improvement in your organization's cybersecurity posture. There's 4 controls under this category, including ensuring that leadership agree on their roles and responsibilities when it comes to building a culture of cybersecurity, and that adequate resources, both financial and human, are allocated for cybersecurity. Number 4, policies, processes, and procedures is pretty much what it says on the label. This category makes sure that your policies, processes, and procedures are established, communicated, and followed. There's just 2 controls in the category. 1, ensuring that policies, processes, and procedures are created, and 2, ensuring that policies, processes, and procedures are enforced, reviewed, and updated as per your threat landscape. Which brings us to our final category, oversight. Oversight aims to ensure that any results of risk management activities you conduct are used to inform, improve, and adjust the overall risk management strategy. There's a total of 3 controls under oversight, including reviewing your risk management strategy outcomes and measuring your overall cybersecurity performance as an organization. So that's everything about Govern, the newest function in NIST CSF 2.0. So where do you go from here? NIST CSF 2.0 has probably been released by the time you're watching this video. We'll have several more videos about the framework over the next few weeks, so don't forget to subscribe to make sure that you're in the know. If you'd like to get NIST CSF 2.0 compliant, there's 2 ways Sprinto can help. 1, there's a free downloadable NIST CSF 2.0 checklist that you can find in the description and comment section below. It's a great way to get started on your cybersecurity journey. And second is compliance automation. Sprinto helps thousands of companies leverage compliance automation across several frameworks like NIST CSF, NIST 853, SOC 2, ISO 27001, and so much more, so that companies can get compliant faster, easier, and more inexpensively. Continuous monitoring via Sprinto's centralized dashboard means that you stay compliant too, all year round, and not just during an audit cycle. To know more, visit sprinto.com or book a demo with one of our NIST experts using the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, because NIST CSF 2.0 is a new framework, leave them in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you found this video useful, remember to like and subscribe. Or better yet, share the video with somebody else that you know would find it useful too.